Hi, sisters. Welcome back. So today we are going into our third week. I can't believe we are already halfway through trusting God in when life storms. I can't believe it. So here we are, week three. And so this is the summary teaching. This is our Friday teaching where I kind of summarize what we have been talking about in the Facebook group all week long. So Monday we talked about confident expectation, that we can be confident that he who started a good work in us will be faithful to complete it. We can be confident that though we can't always see what God is doing, we can have hope because of his promises and who he is. We worked out of Romans 8:24 and 25. For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what it sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. So we talked about waiting on the Lord, having that expectation that even though we're in this waiting period, that God is working, that he is going to show up. We talked about in Hebrews 10:23, let us hold unswaverly the hope we profess. Lamentations 3:25 through 26, the Lord is good to those who wait. There's a waiting period. Oftentimes in our lives, when we are seeking the Lord on something, when we are moving through something, there's just this waiting period. And depending on how we respond in the waiting will depend on how we get through it and how well we get through it. Hope in scripture isn't wishful. It's anchored in the character and promises of God. It's a deep, unshakable confidence that God is not finished yet. We're waiting on his timing. His timing is always perfect. And we might think, gosh, Lord, how much longer must I wait? How much longer must I endure? How much longer before you say yes, no? Give me something. I'm tired of the waiting. It's so hard. I really believe that you put this in my heart. I really believe that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Or maybe it's the storm that you've been going through. Like, I don't understand. Like, why haven't you healed me? Or why haven't you given me breakthrough in this area? Or why won't he change? Or why won't this job come through? Or why won't you move me in this direction? But understanding that God has it all mapped out. He is working on your behalf. He's absolutely working on your behalf. And we have to trust in his word. This is why it's so important to know the word and to renew our minds with the word, with his promises. God, you are faithful. Your word says that even when I'm not faithful, you are. Your word says that your timing is perfect. Your word says that you hold everything in the palm of your hand, that you sustain it all. Your word says that you only have good things marked out for me. Though I may suffer, those things might come happen, it is going to be for my good and your glory, and that nothing will go to waste, right? And so just knowing the word and speaking it over your life. We always have these reflection questions and journal questions inside the Facebook group. And so one of them was, when you can't see what God is doing, how do you remind yourself that his silence is not absence? And I just said, honestly, his word reminds me of this. I just said that I know he's not absent because he's always working, and he's always working on my behalf. I know he's not silent because his word is always speaking to me. I have to open it, of course. A lot of times we don't open the word. That's very problematic right there. You want to know why God's silent, why you're not hearing him? When's the last time you've truly opened the word and sought him through his word? I've learned, like David, that when Saul was pursuing him and all these enemies were coming after him, he just remained faithful to God, and that God was working something out in David during that season. Even though he'd be like, how much longer are you going to let Saul do this? How much longer are you going to allow? I don't deserve this. I don't deserve any of this. And yet, Saul is still giving, seems like Saul still has this power and this ability to just, force David into caves and everything else. But God was working it all out, developing character, independence, and perseverance in David because he was going to be the rightful king. And the journal prompt asked, what do you need to stop trying to fix? Instead, wait on God's work. And I literally, and I don't even know why I put this for like it just came off the top of my tongue. It was like, people, I gotta keep trying to fix people. It is not my job. People have to want to change. And when you're in ministry and on the front lines and you are truly into discipleship and helping people and bringing them truth, you're going to find that a lot of people don't truly want help. They say they do, but then when you give them the tools and then they're not willing to use the tools, they just want to stay in that constant place of not walking in the ways of the Lord, not using the tools given to them, not renewing their minds, not changing and transforming. I can't change people. I can give them the tools, I can give them the truth, I can pray for them, but it's up to God to transform his people. It's either in their heart or it's not. And that's been probably one of the hardest things for me to learn through the past couple decades is that I can't want it more for people than they want it for themselves. People will come in and they will complain about the same thing over and over and over and over again. You'll hand them the tool like, try this, just do this and see if there's any changes. And they absolutely will not implement that. And it'll work. You just know it would be transformative for them. But a lot of people want the easy way out, or they don't want to do the hard thing. They'd rather try to take the easy way out or just have God just fix it all for them in a miraculous way. And I want that too. Oh, don't get it twisted, sister. I want that as well. Like, Lord, can't you just take this from me? Can't you just give me freedom and victory in this area and I don't have to deal with it anymore? I'm tired of fighting in this area. But you know what? That's what gives me the perseverance. That's what helps me trust God, is that I continue to battle, I continue to fight. I'm trying to implement the tools myself, and these battles can be difficult, but I can't change people. And so I have to let people go and say, Lord, they're yours, they're not mine. I am here to point them to Christ. He's the only one that can transform them. Point them to his word. That's the only transforming work is going to be through his word by his spirit. I can't save people. I can't make people born again. I can preach the gospel. I can give them every tool that I know works, but it's up to them to implement it and up to God to bring about that transforming work, just like he had to bring it about in my life. And so I pray with them and I pray for them and I love them through it. So the engagement question was, what's one way? Oh, I'm sorry. What's one way waiting has deepened your dependence on God? And I've said how we're in this kind of this waiting, this holding pattern right now. We've kind of come out of a season where we had, where we thought we had this vision and we thought this is what we were going to be doing for the rest of our lives, was going to be, our outreach center and all that we were going to be doing with that. And it was so beautiful, but it needed to be pulled back on. And so the past 3 years, we've kind of been in this holding pattern, like, okay, God, well, now what? Where do you want us to go? What do you want us to do? Meanwhile, we're remaining faithful in the ministry. Like, we didn't just like sit back and go, okay, well, we're not doing that, so we're not doing anything. We're still, serving the Lord. It's still our passion and our desire, and that's all we do we're very much just very kingdom focused. That's all I can tell you. So anyways, so somebody had reached out to me out of nowhere. I wasn't even looking for anything. And they had reached out to me for a job offer in California. And it was like the perfect job offer. I mean, it was everything that we're doing now. Only it would be, paid staff. Just the area would have been just an amazing area for evangelism. Uh, there's just it just would have been, it was perfect. It was near the beach, just all these different things that are like, it just on paper, this position was perfect. And man, we were praying about it. I mean, it was like, wow, Lord, it's everything I'm doing now. It's everything that my husband's doing now. It's everything we're doing, you know? and we would be, just in a location where not far from there, just a lot of homeless people, that we could really minister, because that's another part of our ministry that, it'd be evangelism, just everything. It was all of it. But in our prayers, just was not getting peace about it. My husband just did not have peace about it. A couple of the people that we talked to, our godly counsel, we told them and said, pray, and we'd like your wisdom. And they didn't have peace about it. So we were like, okay, Lord. And I had to turn the job down. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, okay, Lord, but I will go. I will go. And I turned the job down. And don't you know, several months later, that city burned to the ground. Almost all the houses were lost. The church that we would have been at staff for was not burnt to the ground, but it was destroyed. I mean, they're still rebuilding. They're going to be rebuilding that area for years. It's going to take years to rebuild that area. We would have sold everything, moved to this area, just started this job, just started this ministry work, and we likely would have lost everything. We'd have lost our home. We'd have lost everything. And not that we wouldn't be willing to do that for the Lord, but there's a reason why he didn't give us peace. It wasn't that he did not call us to go and lose everything. That just wasn't what he was calling us to do. And wow, I can look at that and go, you know what? Even when it doesn't make sense that the answer is no, there's a reason why the answer is no. Because he knows the future. He knows what's coming. He knew the fires were coming, and he didn't want to put me and my husband in that, you know? And I feel so bad for those that have had to go through that and what they've lost and what's happened. And I know God will rebuild, and he is using my brothers and sisters in that area to help rebuild and all the things that he's doing. It just wasn't the call for us. He protected us from it for some reason. And that's how we learn to trust God. And that goes into Wednesday. We talked about all things for good. All things for good, Romans 8:28. And we know this, that those who love God, all things work together for good, and those who are called according to his purpose. So even in this waiting season, it's for my good. He's developing character. He's developing perseverance and patience and faithfulness, right? Because we're not stopping. We're being faithful with where we are and what we have in front of us and those that are in our lives. And we are just faithful with whatever God's doing and believing that he's going to set us on another firm foundation again, that we're going to have a vision. We're going to have, this, what it is exactly he's going to want us to be doing, that we're going to have. We just don't know what that looks like. We know what we're praying into, but that doesn't mean that that's what he wants. Everything is got to be about him, right? So we know that trials produce perseverance. We talked about that God doesn't waste anything. So as you are sitting in this season of waiting, or maybe you're in a storm, maybe you're in a, constantly like, I don't understand what you're doing, God. I want you to understand that in his sovereignty, he is weaving every piece of this into one beautiful tapestry. This is what one of our sisters said on week 1, that she saw God as a weaver, weaving her life together as a tapestry. I thought that was such a beautiful depiction. And so as you got to picture like what you're going through right now, like this moment, there it's one piece of cloth, and maybe it doesn't make sense. Like you're looking at the other parts of your life going, that piece of cloth doesn't seem to fit. It doesn't match the rest of this, or I don't understand why you're wanting this piece in my tapestry. And so, though we don't understand it, he is weaving this storm. He's weaving this season. He's weaving this part of your life into the fullness of the full tapestry. And though you may not see it now because you're right there, it's just not far enough ahead of you yet, you can look back on your tapestry and you can see where you've been in those places before, where you just didn't understand why that piece of your life and how it fit in and what God was going to do with it and why did he have to go through that. And that just, I don't get it. Like I could have learned that without going through that, couldn't I have? But then you see the tapestry and you go, okay, that's why. That makes sense, Lord. I see how you use that to bring all of it together. I see how that piece of fabric has been weaved in perfectly into the full tapestry of my life. And it was painful. And it didn't look right. It didn't feel right. I didn't like it at all. But now I get it. I know what I've learned through it. I know what I'm doing to use that. You've turned it around for my good and your glory. Satan was using that piece of tapestry. He was going to try to ruin my whole, or that piece of cloth to ruin my whole tapestry, but it didn't work. It ended up fitting perfectly into the full picture, right? So beautiful. And that is what God is doing. So look back sometimes, and if you see like those, that you can see those other storms, those other seasons that God has got you through, He's going to get you through this one too. He's going to use this one too. So we talked about reflections. When life feels unclear or unfair, how does remembering what God is always working for your good change that perspective? And I think we just kind of talked about that. I come out of a very traumatic childhood. I learned very early on. I mean, I'm talking age 2 and 3, that you can't trust adults, you can't trust authority, you can't trust anybody. And that pattern was repeated my whole childhood. Every time I would look to somebody in authority or look for help, it turned on me. And I learned very quickly that I needed to be quiet. I can't trust nobody. Everyone has an agenda, everyone wants to abuse me. And so it was a very, isolating, traumatic place for a child. And so I became a Christian. I didn't just automatically trust God, you know, trust this God who's in ultimate power, ultimate authority. He can crush me like an ant, you know. So I had a very skewed way of thinking about God. And I still thought that I had to control things and I had to rely on me, and that God was there, but if I wasn't perfect, then he was just waiting to punish me at any moment. And every storm in my life was because I'm bad. I'm a bad kid. I'm bad. He must think I'm a bad child or whatever. Like, it took me a while studying the word to learn who God is and who I am in the picture of him, his daughter, and to realize that I could trust him. And often it takes those storms, it takes those seasons to realize that he's a good father, and that though I'm being crushed by these waves and these waves are crashing over me, that he will not leave me or forsake me, and that he is working behind the scenes, and that it may not be revealed right now what it is, but he will someday, it will be revealed. I will have full understanding at the glorification. But he does give us partial understanding even here on this earth. And so my biggest thing is understanding that the more I walk with God, the more I can see that he is working on my behalf in every season of my life. So the journal was, where have you seen God bring beauty out of a painful, confusing season? Again, I just said, my childhood, being full of trauma and abuse and all the things, he has brought that full circle. And I'm able to use that now to help others and to pour into others. It's given me such a compassion for people and to love them right where they're at. But it's also given me a great passion for God and for his truth. And so to be able to bridge that together, how I can love people, but also give them the truth and come together so that they can receive the truth in love. And so he has used all of it. I am not a victim of my childhood. I'm a survivor of my childhood. And as a survivor, that gives me a strength and an ability to help others. So the last question on day 2 was engagement. What does Romans 8:28 mean to you in a situation right now? And as I discussed, I'm just in the waiting period, and I'm completely trusting in God that at some point he's going to release us back in to what he has for us, whatever that is. Meanwhile, we are remaining faithful in the ministry. And so today, which brings us to Friday, which is just basically our summary now, hope that endures. So Romans 5:3-5, not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame. God's not going to waste any of it. We are called to suffer. There is times of trials, tribulations, and suffering. That is not only the human experience, but it is also the Christian experience. And we don't get saved from that. Though God may lessen some of the sufferings, obviously walking in his will, those kind of things, but we are still going to suffer. And it's in the sufferings that we do get the most character producing the most character, integrity, the perseverance, faithfulness, all those things that need developed in us as we're on this journey. And in Psalms 13, 1 through 6, we often go, how long, O Lord? How long must I endure? I'm so tired, right? But you know what? This is when we pray and we believe, like, God, I don't know how long it's going to take, but develop in me whatever you are trying to develop in me. Help me to learn what I need to learn and to truly walk in it so that I can be free from this particular lesson. Because it is true that if we don't learn the lesson, we can stay in a storm longer than we need to, or we can walk a mountain more times than we need to as well. You think of the Israelites, right? They were in the wilderness way longer than they needed to. If they just would have learned the lessons that they needed to learn. And so help us to just be humble before the Lord and say, okay, Lord, I'm in this storm. I trust you. I know you're going to get me through it. Meanwhile, teach me what I need to learn and help me not to take control. Help me not to be like, because we have ways of going, okay, well, this is going on. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to take complete control of this situation. I'm going to do it my way because I want these results. This is what I want, and God's not giving it to me. So I'm going to look to all these other sources, and someone's going to make it to where this happens. And that's what we have to be very careful on, taking control of situations, but just trusting God in them and going, okay, Lord, help me to understand. Why am I in this season? What's going on here? Throughout the week, we've talked about how hope isn't based on what we see. It's based on who God is, right? It's based on who God is. And so as we continue to build on that truth, remember that memory fuels endurance. What do I mean by that? Remember what God has already done in your life. Remember how he's already gotten you through other seasons. Remember how he has provided for you. Remember how he has given all of himself to show you that I was there working. I never left you or forsook you. I was doing things behind the scenes you couldn't see. I was using it for your good. And if we just have that remembrance of going back, that will produce endurance in your current storm, in your current season to go, you know what, God, you'll get me through this one too. You're going to develop in me what needs developed, and you're going to use this for my good and your glory. This is going to have a purpose someday. I firmly believe that. And I trust you. You are a God that I can trust. You're trustworthy. You're a God who is faithful. You're truth. You're righteous. You love me with an everlasting love. I'm truly your daughter. I'm in the palm of your hand. You're covering me with your love and your goodness and your grace and your mercy, right? So waiting isn't about surviving in the silence. It's about letting God strengthen you through it. It's not like white knuckle, how much longer must I endure? But rather, God, strengthen me. Work out anything in me that needs worked out during this storm. Help me to endure and help me to have joy and peace and contentment in it. That's so important. We'll talk about that later in the future. Count it all joy when you find yourself going through various trials, right? And I'll tell you, that's the greatest witness. Can I just put that out there? When we are suffering, when we are going through trials and tribulations, and people are watching how you respond, are you able to count it all joy? Now, I'm not saying be fake and phony and put a mask on and act like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. God's perfect. I'm perfect. Everything's perfect. That's not what I'm talking about. We can say, I'm suffering. I'm in a really hard season right now. I am battling some things that are just baffling me, but I trust God. I don't know what he's doing, but I want to testify that I know he's working on my behalf. I don't understand it, but I do know that I stand on God's promises and that he will never leave me or forsake me, that he's working all of this out for my good. I don't understand why I'm here, but I'm going to keep working. I'm going to use the gifts and callings which He's given me, and I'm going to continue to move forward and be faithful with what I do have to minister to those that are right here in my life, those that need me. I'm going to do what I can to help them. That's important. That's a good witness. People don't understand that, how you can be in these middle of these storms and going through these major life events and yet have joy and peace and contentment. That is such a witness to the beautiful supernatural power of God. So, with this teaching this week, I want to remind you there's hope in the waiting. God is not silent, He's just busy working. He's busy working for you on your behalf. He's working behind the scenes. He's putting together this beautiful tapestry. He's weaving it all together, the story of your life. And you may not understand it right now, but I promise you, you will understand it sometime, whether in the near future while you're here or when we fully get to see it in fullness at the glorification. But today, trust your Father, sweet sister. He is your dad. He loves you so much. He loves you to pieces. If you are truly His, then you are His daughter, and He is working it out for your good and His glory. And He's not silent. I encourage you to open the Bible and start to study it. And you will be so surprised, or maybe not surprised, but blessed by how much He talks to us through His Word. The darkest seasons, the darkest trials, I would just open the Word. And I like to open the Psalms. When I'm going through something dark, I don't know what it is about the Psalms, but there's just something so beautiful. The Psalms just really ministered to me in some of my tougher seasons. And you know what? And I don't open it up and use it like a Ouija board, okay? Let's not do that. I don't open up and point my finger and go, okay, God, dear, okay, what do you have to say to me? That's not what I'm talking about. Be in a place. I'll open up the Psalms and I'll start at Psalm 1 and I'll just start reading through the Psalms. And I'm telling you, God is speaking directly to me. Or sometimes I'll feel led to read a different book in the Bible, but stick with that book, The Holy Spirit puts on you. I remember one time going through something and God's like, read Revelations. And I'm just like, really? Kind of already going through enough. I don't know that I want to read Revelations. But boy, did He minister to me using the seven churches. He was speaking something very personal to me using His word. And it was beautiful. He was bringing correction to me through the seven churches as a reminder of like, this is what's important to me. And I'm like, wow, okay, Lord, And so be prayerful and mindful, start in one letter and read through that whole letter and keep reading it and read it and read it and read it. And watch the Lord just speak to you. Now, the word, I'm not necessarily, don't take things out of context and, all that, and then go teach it out of context and all that. But just know that God does use His word to minister to us, to correct us, to encourage us, to remind us. And He uses it to teach us, to grow us, to strengthen us. And so, but you got to be in the word. Got to be in the word, not listening to sermons, listening to teachings like mine. Those are all great, but that should absolutely be a supplement to your daily time with Him. You need your personal relationship with the Lord, with His word, by His Spirit. It's so important. I love you guys, and I'm just praying for you. I pray that this series is helping you. I know it's helping me. It's giving me a lot of reminders myself, and it's just been a real blessing to do. I know we're halfway through. We got 3 more weeks left, and if you want to follow along with the writings and the journals and all that we're doing, you can go over to the Facebook group that I have. It's in the show notes there. You just click on it and join the group. You can do that. Or you can just wait for the Friday summary teachings, or you can I'll put this in a PDF too. So there'll be a PDF at the very end. I'll put it all in because I have like extra teachings each day where I've taught on that particular subject. And so I'll like this teaching here. And so, you know what? Any way that I can help you, I can bring discipleship to you, that I can point you to Christ and his word. I want you to know I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to just pray for you. I'm here. No strings attached. I love helping people grow in God's word. I love helping women fall in love with Jesus and to see him for who he is and to see themselves for who they are in him and to walk obediently with him. Because there's nothing better, there's nothing greater than walking the life that Christ has for us and literally giving him all of ourselves and becoming truly um, radical, sold out, born again Christ followers. It's the most fulfilling life you'll ever have. Nothing compares to it. And that is my encouragement, is that to just fall so radically in love with Jesus, that he really is your all in all, and that you want nothing more but to love him with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and then to love your neighbor as yourself. And you do that by serving. You do that by laying your life down for others. And there's just there's nothing more beautiful. And now I'm getting on a tangent because that's what I do. I rant. Okay, so I love you. I pray for you. I've been praying for you guys. Again, I'm here if you need me for anything. And I just pray you have an awesome, awesome week. And I'll see you next week with the next series, with next week's lesson. Blessings.